Well, welcome to the call tonight. My name is Marilyn Johnson, and I'm your host for tonight's call. And, I have been with this company over 13 years, and it has been quite a ride, quite an adventure. It's been God sent for me, and I feel so blessed to have this privilege to introduce our presenter tonight. I've known Mr. Everett Schilling since we were kids, and you never know how your prayers are going to be answered. And he popped in my head once I got started. And I thought, I wonder if that guy's still alive. And my kids had just got me on Facebook, and they found him. And I recognize that smile anywhere. And I personally messaged him, and he got back with me in a few weeks, and we caught up in life. And at that time, he was very successful. He ran a construction company that had over 200 employees. But what he didn't have is time. And we just caught up in life. And at that time, we caught up, and he goes, well, tell me about you. How are you doing? I thought, oh, crud, tell you about me. I'm working 3 jobs and just barely surviving. Wasn't all successful like him. But then I said, I just got involved with a company. And here's what's really interesting is that he had the money and stuff, but he didn't have time. So he is going to share with us what he's learned. So he had me send him everything I knew about the company. And when he checked it out, he called me back and he said, do you have any idea what you got a hold of? And I was like, oh my gosh, I just know it's legal. I feel great. And the checks clear the bank. And he's like, you haven't changed since high school. Anyway, we caught up. He's become one of my business partners. And I just feel so blessed. So I hope you're got a pad and pencil and be prepared to take notes, because what he has to share with us is life-changing. So go ahead and take it away, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate that. It wasn't, love at first sight when it came to this business. Just to say a little. And what was you showing, Jerry? Oh, okay. So anyway, I never did look at any of these businesses, never thought much of them or anything else. Stayed away from them. We had a construction company in Gillette, Wyoming. Was there for 25 years, retired, and then moved to DuBois, Wyoming, which is up by Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Yellowstone. And that's kind of where I wanted to be, and my wife wanted to be. I like anything to do with outdoors, from hunting, fishing, camping, kayaking, mountain biking, all of it. I just love being outside. And but the problem with it is we were super busy. We built buildings, we owned them, and we leased them. So we were a build-to-suit company, so to speak, and a developer. We had a pipeline company in North Dakota, and we were pretty busy. I can get as much or as many jobs as I could possibly handle if I'd had the employees that I could trust to put them on projects. That was the biggest problem. So I was frustrated. I was very frustrated with time, because it seemed like I was just working 7 days a week, nonstop. We were building buildings for Cummins. I was looking at them for Schlumberger, Halliburton, all kinds of different types of buildings we were building, and then owning them and leasing them back to companies. And they were all over. I actually had a contract with one for 60 buildings, all of the United States and Canada. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to spend the next 20 or 30 years traveling all over the place, building these buildings. I got to find time, because the most important thing in my life was family. So if somebody asked you that, what was the most important thing in your life, or what is the most important thing in your life, more likely you'd say your family. The problem with it was I was asked that question at one point, and I said, my family. And my business partner said, no, you're working 80 to 100 hours a week in this business. That makes it the most important thing in the world. And then your family is next. And he goes, if you want your family to be number one, you've got to figure out the efforts of the many and not one. And what he meant by that is you've got to figure out how to do leveraged income. You got to figure out how to have mailbox money, so to speak. I always called it mailbox money, where regardless of where you lived, if you were alive or not, there was always a paycheck in the mail, regardless of what was going on. And instead of trading time for money, because if you weren't around or you got hurt or anything like that, and then you had to step away from your job for months, maybe, God forbid, years or period, then that dried up. The money income dried up. So this was introduced to me in 2010, and I said no, for quite a while to Marilyn, I'm not interested whatsoever. I'm sorry, I got too many things going on, and last thing I need is another business. So things went on, and then sure enough, something happened to, you never know what's going on. People's lives change about every 3 months, and definitely every 6 months. So it finally caught my attention after 3 to 4 months, and I called her up one morning, and I said, hey, listen, send me everything you have, as I need to know how it pays. I can't build a company and take it to friends to help them build businesses if it doesn't pay well, and that part's a joke. I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't build buildings and I don't build houses for free. I mean, we got to make a living somehow, right? It'd be like a truck driver saying, hey, I'll cover all the fuel and everything else on my truck, and I'll run the load for you for nothing. So it's just one of those deals. Once she sent it to me, I went through it and I called her back and I said, this is huge. You have any idea what you got a hold of here? We had some more discussion about being real estate, so on and so on. And I said, I'm in. I don't know anything about it, but we'll figure it out. The one thing we're gifted is the ability to fail. The nice thing about it is it depends on when you fail, if you learn from it or not, and you're able to rise up from it. So what I want to do is I want to kind of go through it tonight with you real quick. This may or may not be for you. Who knows? It's like I never wanted to be a doctor. I never wanted to be a school teacher, things like that. Certain things aren't for certain people. So anyway, let's get started with that part of it. Let me share my screen, and let's do just a second here. Let me get out of that. Share screen. You got to make me a co-host again. It says I'm not a co-host.
Huh.
That's what Jerry was trying to say.
I guess I just didn't push the button hard enough. Sorry, guy.
You got it? There we go. There it is. All right. And share. Okay. All right. You should be able to see that, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Good enough. All right. So pro-8 doesn't mean anything to you guys. What that means is at a certain point, I reach between 200 and 500,000 a month in gross sales. And then, of course, you get a percentage of that. So what I want to ask you first is what if there was a way that you could earn enough money to match what you got going on right now, maybe surpass it? Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you want just a couple $100 a month, $500 a month, $1,500 a month, or whatever, to be able to help with bills and so on. So money is a huge thing. It's one of the deals. What if there was a way that you were looking, maybe possibly you were looking for financial freedom, and you were trying to achieve that somehow, get rid of bills, get rid of the worry of money, and just take it off the table and never discuss it again? Wouldn't that be nice that it doesn't even come up in your conversations? Yeah, I'm not worried about that part of it. Everything I have is paid for. Everything I have, I got money in the bank, and it continues to go there, and it's perfect. It's the way I want it. Maybe you're looking for retirement.Maybe you want to retire and not have to worry about, man, how am I going to retire? You know what? The funny thing about retirement is I remember a lot of times I've had people tell me, oh man, I'm too young to retire. And I scratch my head. Every time somebody says that, I'm going, really? What is that supposed to mean? And I think what they do is they look at it as they don't have the money to do nothing, so they're just going to lay around the house and grow fat or lazy or whatever. Man, when I think of retirement, I'm thinking of fishing, I'm thinking of hunting, I'm thinking of traveling, I'm thinking of vacations all over, I'm thinking of skydiving, you name it, man. I'm thinking of all kinds of things when I think of retirement. But I don't think there's anything, there's such a thing as going, oh man, I'm too young. So maybe you're looking for a new zip code. Maybe you want to move, relocate. Maybe you're looking at, hey, I'd rather live in Alaska. I'd rather live, maybe you got some place that you dream of and never really thought that it could be possible. Travel. My wife and I never traveled together. We never had a vacation. We never flew together until we started this business. And we've been married at that time for more than 25 years and had never been in a plane together. We had traveled in planes for business and stuff. My wife with her company, and I did with my company and stuff. And it was kind of weird to be able to actually travel together. Maybe a vacation home somewhere else that you can, pop into once in a while. And college funds. I mean, there's so many different things, guys. I mean, that they want money for, that money could take care of. And mine was time. The funny thing about time is if you've got all the time in the world and you got no money, oh my goodness, that has got to be the most boring thing in the world because you can't do anything. Just like I was talking about earlier, some people relate that to retirement going, oh man, I can't afford it. My grandparents were that way. They were afraid to even go out and drive their vehicle for fear that it was going to cost money or it could break down. So they just laid around and watched TV all the day, all the time, all day long, actually. So time to me was the most important thing in the world, to be able to get it with my kids and future grandkids and things like that. So time was the one that hit me right there. That's what got my attention. So this business can be broke down in 3 different ways. Maybe it's just something you want to supplement, a little bit of money here and there to supplement what you've got going on. You love what you're doing. You love your job or your business or whatever it is. That's fine. That's great. I will always be a builder. I mean, I've built 3 different homes since I've been in this business since 2010. And I still love to build. Regardless if I got the money or not, I just love to build. That's who I am. So, but I don't want money to be the reason for it. So what if you wanted enough to replace everything you have and maybe a little bit more? Or maybe you want legacy money, that type of money that passes down to your children and their children. So those are 3 different types of pillars when it comes to financial. And there's something out there that actually I want you to take a look at. And let's see if this second, this locked up here real quick. So this here, Marilyn, tell me if this sound doesn't come through and then I'll stop it. When you watch this ABC primetime clip and you take a look at it, you tell me, or you think about it for a second, how many people in the world could use this and why? If this could be something like Microsoft or Apple or something cutting edge that's brand new to the whole world, and it could be something that the whole world could use.
No, can't hear it.
Let's see.
Maybe you can optimize the sound. That's what I usually do on mine.
Well, it's not. That's all right. I'll just make sure that you guys, let me get out of that. Watch that video and think about what I just said. If you've all seen it already, then perfect. Then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if it'll let me out of it now. Come on. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys because of that. That video introduced something that the world's never seen before. And it's what I was talking about was an activation product. And what I mean about activation, not a supplementation. Some people call it a supplement. It's not a supplement. Not even close to being a supplement. A supplement is exactly what it says. It is something you supplement in your system that you're lacking. Okay, maybe it's through a diet or birth, hereditary, whatever it may be. But this is an activation product, and they came in a different direction they've never thought about before. What if they can flip a switch on that slows down because of the aging process and allow it to go back to work like it did when we were kids? Okay, so it doesn't reverse aging for us. What it does, it makes us the best version of our age. And that interested me a lot. So if I could be one of the best versions, you ever seen one of them people, you go, my God, I can't believe how active they are, at their age. There was a guy that I worked with in River, Wyoming years ago. At 70, he was still running 10 miles a day at 70. And there was days that he was putting in 15 miles a day in one shot. And I always thought, man, this guy is the best version of his age. That is just incredible. So what I want to talk to you about tonight, we want to learn about a little more is about the company called LifeVantage, the breakthrough of health activation, the difference between supplementation and activation, why you'll love the pay plan, that it's the compensation plan, and how you get positioned in it, how we train, and what makes it a big deal. All right. So this is kind of where it all started, is back in 2005, that ABC primetime aired, and what it mainly said is it reduced oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days in every mammal they had ever tested it on, okay? So that was a huge breakthrough, which caught the attention of multiple universities all over the world when they seen that ABC clip, and they started calling. The one that impressed me the most was Virginia Commonwealth University with American Heart Association. And after reading that, and how we find these is you go to a website called PubMed. See this right here? You don't have to believe a word that anybody says to you about it. You can research it all you want. Be careful of what you research, because I don't take the word of any idiot that throws something out on Google or anything else unless they have some kind of a background they're willing to put out there that I can research that and take a look at it. The one that caught my attention was PubMed. So PubMed.gov, hence the word .gov, you're paying for it. This is your taxpaying dollars at work. And basically what it is, it's a library for science, a clinical library for science. And medical universities will do a study on something, and then they give it to their peers, another medical university, maybe even 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And they'll all go over that same research and maybe add more to it. And then it's put into a review, and then it's archived into this library. And this library is PubMed.gov. And what I started to say earlier, there was one in there by VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University, with American Heart Association. And what it talked about on the human heart caught my attention. And I thought, I want that. I definitely want that in my system. I wanted it the first time I seen it at ABC Primetime. And at that time, it was at GNC for sale. And my wife and I went to GNC in Gillette to buy it. And the girl there talked us out of it. And she thought there was a cheaper version out there, acai berry, and she thought it was the exact same thing. And it's not. It was a supplementation. And it wasn't an activator. It was a supplement. And I got frustrated, and I walked out the door, and I never even looked back at it until 2010, and Marilyn threw this back on my plate. So you can research it, because it affects, you see right here what all it affects. Every one of these things age in the human body, correct? So as we get older, it affects our skin, obviously. That's probably the most obvious thing. To our kidneys, joints. That's one of the things I started noticing even in my late 30s and 40s was how my joints were getting stiffer and stuff as I was getting older. To your lungs, brain, immune system, blood vessels, all your organs, your eyes, your heart. Your eyes, they change considerably as you get older, no doubt about it. So all these medical universities jumped in the middle of it after that ABC primetime, and that made this a big deal, because they seen it as that fountain of youth, possibly, which is like a $600 billion a year market. And with a B, not M, with a B, $600 billion a year market. And LSU to Colorado State, Harvard University, all of these places jumped in and paid for it at their own dollar, their own dime. And these things cost millions and years to go through. They did it on their own. They seen that as a big deal. So that led to LifeVantage as being an activation company, and they started coming out with personal care, daily essentials, which is basically vitamins, anti-aging products, which is what you see in there, Pro Tandem, that started everything all the way down through it. Now, here's the funny thing is, kept saying all mammals that they've tested on that showed a reduction of 40% 30 days on every mammal they were tested on. And all of us started thinking, well, wait a second, man, dog, cat, horse, I mean, there's a lot of possibility there, right? So we started talking to our friends that had horses and those, family members that had horses and said, hey, man, you might want to try one of these on your horse. And it turned out huge. The equine part of this is monstrous. And what it does to your dog and your cat is also a big deal too, because they age faster than we do. So they came out with a pet product for dog also, because that is the one animal they spend more money on than anything else is a dog. So we do have a pet product, and they do use it for their cat too, actually. He might start barking, who knows? Now, these products, the reason there's some key points behind it that became a big deal is Nerf2 Protandim reduced oxidative stress by 40% 30 days. Every mammal's been tested on. We can use the ABC prime time to our benefit. These are things that we can talk about to people, and that ABC prime time is something that you can use as a tool. I wouldn't become a little mini doctor or nurse or anything like that, because it's not duplicatable. All right. So it's not something somebody else can go out and do. As a contractor, I'm not going to run out and talk to people about their glutathione, their SOD, their catalase, and everything else. Although, I mean, for the last 13 years, I have heard a lot of training on all of that, but I don't want to train in that direction. Use the ABC primetime clip with Don Quinones as your tool. Okay. I mean, if somebody has a question, go, I don't know. Let's watch the ABC primetime again. It pretty much answers a lot of questions, guys. Then go to PubMed. Unique, it's consumable, it's category creating. What do I mean by category creating? It is an activator. All right. It's not a supplement. It creates a whole new category of health. It's an inside-outside approach. So we also have a skincare system that works on the outside. And what shows more than anything on aging, our skin. So all products are rooted in science, exclusive patents. We've got multiple international and national patents to protect our rights. And use PubMed. Teach people how to jump on PubMed research. All you got to do is get into the search box in it. You can punch in oxidative stress / whatever somebody asks a question on, teach them how to do it, and then they can research it. If it pulls up anything on it, that means there's only one thing in the world that reduces oxidative stress by 40% 30 days, and that is Protandim. Okay. Now, because of that, they have come out, it's taken years to do it. One of the biggest products right now out there is collagen. So LifeVantage finally came out with some collagen, a liquid collagen, and it's taken years to make that happen because they wanted to make sure that it was an activator. And why collagen? Why is it such a big deal? Collagen affects about everything in our body. Protein, a collagen protein has everything to do with your nails, hair growth, muscle recovery, joints, gut health, bone strength. It goes on and on, guys, of what collagen can do for your system. Personally, I started taking it months and months and months ago when they first started coming out. At first, I thought, it's another one thing. I'm not really worried about it too much. I've heard about collagen for years. Finally, and I have a tough time with my joints. I'm in my 60s, and I struggle with my joints, things. I'm a snowmobiling fanatic. I love the snow. And I noticed that it is beginning to change for me joint-wise. And after taking this, I couldn't believe the difference it made in me. Going in weightlifting and just the difference in muscle recovery. And the other part was flexibility. I couldn't believe the difference in my flexibility and recovering from it. So this is how big of a deal collagen is to the human body. So why does this make sense? So LifeVantage takes an armed approach. They thought three things got to happen with a collagen for them. Because they're an activation company, it has to activate current collagen in your system and keep activating and reactivating it every single day. All right, take a little bottle of this and then goes in and starts activating what you've got going on and what went dormant. Got to replenish what we've been missing. and what we lost in proteins, collagen proteins. And then it's got to maintain that. It's got to continue to maintain that. And why were we able to do something like that? Because they use 3 different ingredients that create that. And the activation part, actually, guys, is created by a fruit, ruby red quinoa extract. This plant is incredible. I mean, just look at some of the numbers there and what a big deal it is. So the next one is to be able to replenish what was going on, the stuff that's went dormant or fell off in our system has to come from a fish. And in this case, we used a different type of fish and a clean one on top of that. Now, to maintain what's going on a daily basis so we don't lose it, they use different berries and different berry extracts for that. Okay, this is what makes this particular product unique. Now, what's not in it, of course, is sugar and sweeteners and GMOs, and it's dairy-free, gluten-free, and soy-free. So in this, I have so many pictures, and I went through today that I'm going to delete some of these or hide some of them where I don't have to go through all of it. This is the one that I found the most important, that showed the most. Look at this lady's legs. And and I apologize, I'm pretty sure we know all these people, but just think about that for a second. Your legs start getting like that, and then all of a sudden you start taking something and that disappears. How do you think she feels now? That part is unreal. I mean, look at these. That part just cracks me up. But the one thing is, if it's doing that to the outside, can you imagine what's happening on the inside of the body because of that? That's how big of a deal it is. Now, the trend part of this thing, in trends, why would this be unique? Why would an activation be a big deal? Now, did you guys know that the United States is the last country in the world to still be hanging on to Western medicine? And why is that? The reason for that is TV, commercials. How many commercials do you see in between your favorite show or whatever's going on that have to do with pharmaceutical? A ton of them. And we advertise, pharmaceutical companies spend an outrageous amount of money on advertising because they want you to go, oh, that relates to what I have. I must have that. I've got to have that. And people call in all the time and say, hey, I have to have that pill. I go to my doctor and I got to talk to my doctor and say, hey, I need that thing they're announcing. Although it said it might cause, me to die, but dude, I got to have that. That's why they do that. That's why the United States is still hanging on to Western medicine. All the rest of the world is slowly moving to Eastern medicine, so natural. The whole naturopath working their way, because we carry a computer in our pocket all the time where we can research something and look at it and go, wait a second, man, it doesn't, and I don't want to draw a line in the sand, but the one food for thought that's always cracked me up is when we start talking about different levels of blood pressure to there's so many things out there, guys, that I don't even want to get into it. It's just my opinion, and it drives me nuts. Why would they do things like that when you've got a woman that might weigh 95 pounds or 100 pounds and you got a man that's 6'6" and 300 pounds, and they're saying, hey, your level's got to be exactly the same as that 90-pound or 100-pound woman, or her level's got to be the same as that 300-pound man? That it just doesn't make sense to me. So it's all a ploy for money. So trends right now, guys, $300 billion a year anti-aging market, and we've got the only activator in the world. Will there be more? I promise there'll be more. Skincare is $121 billion. Look down at the pet care, $67 billion a year in pet care alone. Isn't that incredible? So we are a brand new company, although we've been out for 10 years, 13, 14 years now, as a network marketing company. Before that, it was at GNC and Rite Aid. Why would you put it in the hands of a network marketing company? That bothered me at the beginning too. And I says, what the heck? Why would they do that? But it said at GNC, why put it out something? You know what this is? This is a word of mouth business. What is the fastest way to grow a business? It's word of mouth. What's the fastest way to bury a business? It's word of mouth. That's how powerful it is. So because, like I said, I went to GNC, my wife and I, to pick this product up, and the girl talked me out of it. And that's right there is the reason why it had to be taken away from them, because when it aired on ABC primetime, they figured out right then and there that it was a word of mouth thing, that people had to tell the story. And we, as really good friends to somebody or family members, and we know their aches and pains and ailments, and we just say, hey, look at this. Let me give you some stuff to research on your own. I promise you, this is a big deal. And I want you to be a business partner of mine. Let's be able to vacation together. Let's travel together. Let's do things together. Let's not let anything else be number one except for us and our family, and be the number one thing on the list. So one of the biggest things got to be timing. We're only in 24 countries. That's it. There's under 100,000 of us doing this as a business globally. And let me explain why that's a big deal. It takes about 150,000 of us doing this as a business in each country to launch it into what they call momentum or branding. So let me kind of explain that a little bit. They've always taught, or there's a timing curve to every business out there. You start out in the pioneering stage where you're trying to figure out your business, you're trying to get it off the ground, you're spending money like crazy, and things just don't seem to be working, but it takes a little while to get traction, right? And 95% of businesses fail, sometimes up to 5 times before they can get it right. Not too many people can afford to do that, and they usually give up. So we went through that stage. We set somewhere back near, like I said, it takes between 100 and 150,000 people to launch a business into branding. This is where they capture 80% of their growth, is this critical mass. And that's where it's branded to that whole country. Everybody there hears about it. Everybody's on it or tried it or been introduced to it. Put it that way. They know about it. And after that, it grows about 2 to 7%. That's up here in this direction. So we set down here. It takes about 1 million distributors to hit $1 billion. So if this interests you business-wise and you're worried about it being too late, it's not. You're hitting it about perfect. So the next part of this is LifeVantage is a publicly traded company. We are on the NASDAQ, guys. We have been featured a few times now, ringing the bell at NASDAQ. And we have investors as big as BlackRock, Vanguard, JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch. There's a lot of big heavy hitters that are investing money in this because they know it's going to become a huge deal. So why would these type of businesses be a big deal? Remember I said earlier, my business partner told me one time, I needed to worry about the efforts of the many and not the efforts of the one, and quit working 80 to 100 hours a week and make my family that 80 to 100 hours a week. So most of us are taught on the linear side through high school and college, our parents. My dad always told me, go get a job, work there for the rest of your life, and you'll get a really good retirement and everything will be great. And you guys know that more than 95% of all people are not going to retire. They won't have the funds. In fact, they will be strictly reliant on Social Security. And they spend 40, 50, 60 years. I have an uncle that owns a store, and he bought it in 1960, and he's still there. He still owns that store. And I'm going, wow, that's a long time to be there. This is where you trade time for money. This is working off the effort of the one. So 100% of one effort. That means if something happens to you or, God forbid, an accident that takes you out of it, then there's nobody to pay the bills. Now, where I was introduced to building buildings, owning them, and leasing to people is them are 2 to 5 year assets, and you're working off the efforts of the many. So John Paul Getty, the first billionaire in the world, he was quoted saying, I would rather have $1 from 1,000 people than $1,000 by myself. And think about that for a while. That's a big deal, because if one person quits or two people quit, you're really not going to notice it, right? So that's why you always look at something like this. The other part of that too is on a leverage side of life. Eventually, you can become an investor. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to dump some money into some different ideas and everything to see what direction it goes and help somebody else build a big business? Now, how do we get started in it? How do we make money from it? It's very simple. It's every time somebody takes a product on a monthly basis, it pays a percentage, correct? So every time my building's rented, basically it pays a percentage back to all of us on a monthly basis every time those things rent. Same thing here. So what if we went out, we picked up some partners, and we taught them how to build the business, and those people, everybody knows a minimum of 500 people by first name at the age of 18. Okay. Reader's Digest put that out many years ago. And just think, I mean, I had friends that I went after to be business partners with that had databases in their business of 10,000 people and more. That's why I wanted them in this company. So there are different levels, obviously, based off of volume and rank and everything. So what these come out to, and remember earlier I talked about, and maybe you're just looking to share this with a couple people for, a little extra money on a monthly basis. And then maybe, you just want to kind of mentor a couple people for some little extra money. And then all the way up here towards the end, you start participating into some monster pools. Like, it's not profit sharing, but let's say sales sharing that are outrageous. And that becomes that world. So how do we do that? And here's different ways that you make money in this. One, on the beginning part of it is, say you don't want to talk to anybody about being in the business, but you think everybody in the world should be on the product. That's fine. So somebody that has between $500 and $1,000 a month worth of customers will get 5% of their product, of them sales on a monthly basis. All right. So it starts there. As you build that up, let's say you get all the way down here where you got $4,000 a month or more, you get 20% of that on a monthly basis. So let's say, if you've got $5,000 sitting out there in customers on a monthly basis and gross revenue, then you're getting 20% of that's $1,000, right? So, that's not bad. Now, the next way, and this is where it started catching my attention. I love building business. That's why we had our fingers in a lot of stuff. So let's say up to 10% or more bonuses on product sales and your customers make. So let's go through this. Let's say you're doing $20,000 a month in gross sales through your organization. You've got several partners with their help and their knowledge of their database. You've got $20,000 a month going through it. Everything that's going on the first level is 10%, and then you get the gist here. The second level is 7%, third level is 7%, all the way down to the seventh level is 3%. You're doing $80,000 a month or more. Look at all these and what's going on in 9 different levels on top of what you're doing personally in product with all your customers. On top of this, the next one, we get paid a lot of different ways, guys. So earn up to 20% check match on qualifying leaders in your organization. So let's say your first level, and this is people that have reached 10,000 or more in volume per month. So let's say you're back up there at that 80,000 a month with your whole organization. That first level of people that are doing 10,000 or more, you're getting 15%, then 12%, and then 10% on these levels, on top of them other 2 percentages I showed you earlier. This is where my wheels were beginning to really turn when I first looked at this whole thing. I'm going, wait a second, all I need to do is just build a team and teach them how to build. The rest of this is going to fall in line. I would, focus on these things. I would focus on building an organization to get this business. Mine is I want to get the business out to the world. I want to make a huge difference in everybody's financial, in their oxidative stress in their bank. And that way they don't ever have to talk about money. It's off the table. The one that got me in the business is this one right here. I kept looking at Amway. I went back and I didn't know anything about Amway, except I just knew they were a monster company. And I kept going back and researching them. And at one point, that particular company made $14 billion in 1 year. 14 billion. I always thought they were a glorified Kmart. They had a magazine of everything you could think of, man. They were known for their soap. And so what I was looking at, I was going, wait a second. This particular company, Life Age, takes 4% of gross sales every single month, and they throw it into a pot. Right now, we do about $225 million a year. They take 4%, divide that in 12 months, and then they take 4% of that on a monthly basis, and they throw it in a pot, and then divide it up in shares. You've reached the rank of consultant one all the way up to presidential consultant. This is somebody doing 80,000 a month in gross sales through their whole organization, all the way up to 1 million. They get one share of that percentage every month, all the way to these guys get 20 shares. And all I could think of was Amway doing $14 billion a year. They're not quite doing that no more. I think they're around the $8 billion a year. But even at $8 billion a year and divide that in 12 months, take 4% of that, I'm going, wow, that's a check. I'm interested. And I want to be part of that thing. This is where legacies, where you pass it on to your children and their children, are built. Okay. Now, how do we get in? What direction do we get in? There's going to be some people that say, hey, I just want to take the product. I don't want nothing to do. I don't want to be on a monthly subscription. I just want to, here and there buy some. That's fine. Okay, their price is going to be 20% higher than what I pay right now as a consultant, because I get a 20% discount off of that. Be able to save 10% more. You got that person that says, hey, I don't want to be a distributor or a consultant. I don't want to be in the business, but I do want to take the product on a monthly basis. I want it shipped to me every single month. They'll save 10% over the retail price. And then we get, now as a consultant, that particular person that orders on a monthly basis, I also get 10% of whatever their order is on that particular day. And that one goes right directly to our checking account, or whatever account you want it to be, savings, whatever, that particular shipping date. So that's another 10% on those people. The ones that just want to be a retail buyer once in a while, that's 20% that'll go into your account. So it behooves you to become a distributor in this thing, at least to save 20% to 10% on the product on a monthly basis, right? And the way I would get in on the top pack that has all the product in the business, because you want to be a product of the product. You want to have an experience with every single thing we have. Take some of it and sample it out. As a business owner, I want to get that stuff out to as many people, key people that I want in the business with me. I'm just not going to give it out to some random dude walking around. There ain't no way. But the people that I want in the business with me as business partners, I'm darn sure going to give them some samples. I'm not going to give them a huge amount of it, because I want to give it out to a lot of people. I'm not worried about the one that says no, man. It's like I said earlier, I didn't want to become a school teacher or a doctor or anything like that, because it wasn't for me. I loved building. So eventually I wanted to be a builder and a contractor. The markets go up and down. I ended up running trucking companies there for a while because the markets went down so low that I ended up in trucking. So get in the best pack of the thing. If you're worried about not getting your money back on it, then get in front of some people. Have the person introduce this to you. The idea of this business is to make money. If you're getting in it, then get in it. Don't ever get into something and say, I'll try it. Nobody ever bought a McDonald's, paid the $1 million and $2 million to get into McDonald's and said, I'll try it for a little while and see if it works. And then boom, it fails. Nobody ever builds a business on, I will try it. They build a business by saying, I'm all in. And what's the trick behind that? The trick behind that is the system and the support that we have. It takes 6 different things for this to be a big deal. If you look across the bottom there, this is what you train your people on every time you go out and you work with them, is you teach them about the company, the products, the timing, the trends, the compensation plan, and the system. This is the last part of it. It's the system. These are the three things that have to happen for this business work. Anytime somebody calls me and they say, hey, it's not working for me, I can promise you one of these three things or all three things aren't happening. And yes, it is going to fail. I don't care what business you're in the world. So you've got to be able to open your doors on a daily basis, right? If you don't, I might not say every single day of the week, but for the majority of the month, you've got to be open. So do a minimum of 15 presentations a month. What do I mean by that? And what I mean by that is when I got in it, I thought, man, there's no way I got time for this, but I got to make it work somehow because I need to spend more time with my wife, my kids, hopefully grandkids someday. And by the way, I've got 2 of them now. But 15 presentations. A presentation is your story. Basically, you're telling somebody your why. Why am I in this? That's your story. A little bit of my background, why I'm looking at this. This may interest you and may not, but please take a look at it and give me a simple yes or no. Here's the ABC primetime. I want to watch it with you. Stay in control of your business. Don't send something by email or text and expect them to take a look at it because it's obviously not important enough to you to get on the phone with them and talk to them about it and watch it with them. So you just send it to them in a text, so it's not important. Next part of this thing, well, let me go back to the presentation. Your story, company story, the ABC primetime, and then how we get paid. When that's done, talk to them about how they get paid. All right. If you don't know how yet, then get somebody else on the phone that does and have them explain it. All right. Now, attend every monthly training. At the very beginning, I said, no, I'm too busy. I don't need that stuff. I own multiple companies. I'm a male. I'm arrogant. Let me, I'll tell you how to build a business. 6 months later, I'm going, I'm stuck at this thing. I'm probably going to fail. So I knew if one person or many, millions of people have had made it successful, then obviously it's out there to become successful. So I started making phone calls to obviously Marilyn, Tony, Clint, Marcel, Tyler, all these guys, and saying these guys that were successful. And I'm saying, hey, I want to be able to do this. What do I need to do? And they said, you got to attend the trainings. And I says, how do you expect me to do that? And they says that I didn't cause that problem. You've got to figure that part out. So we ended up having to figure out how to do it. And that changed everything at that point because I started to get trained in how to build this company. Now, something super important, and this is the one part that everybody misses, is they think it's going to happen in 2 to 3 months or 5 months, 6 months. If it's not, I'm out. You need to give it 2 years and do those first 2 things consistently, or I promise will fail. If you miss out on the first one, 15 presentation once showing that ABC primetime, then it's going to begin to fail. You're closing the doors on your business a lot. The next part is attend the trainings. Then you're not being educated. I couldn't imagine somebody walking up to me has never built a house or anything in their life, said, hey, I bought this hammer at Walmart. Can I build a house for you? And, it'd be, no, you've never been any trainings, even on the job training or anything like that. It takes time for that to happen. Give it a solid 2 years, minimum 2 years to be successful. Okay. Where else are you going to be? What you've been doing right now for the last 2 to 5 years, has that panned out to get you to where you want to be? If it has, but you're looking at a different direction and stuff, maybe a plan B, because everybody needs multiple sources of income, multiple. And this should be one of them, obviously one of them. So 2 to 5 years, guys. And that's the key part of this whole thing is those 3 right there. All right. Now, get with the person that invited you to this, talk to them about it. Don't waste time with it, whatever. Just get into the business, get your pack. And what I would say is don't sit around and try to educate yourself. Just start calling. Like I said earlier, one of the things that we're gifted with is the ability to fail and learn from that. Don't go, oh man, I can't fail. I can't make no mistakes. You know what's made every 7 seconds of the day? People. And I promise the 3 largest prayers, the three main prayers in life is health should be number one. Without your health, you got nothing else, man. There is nothing else that's going to work. I don't care how much money you got in the world. If your health is in the tank, then that's a tough thing. Second one is time. People are always trying to figure out how to gain more time in life and to be able to enjoy it and smell the roses. And the last one is financial freedom. And maybe it's in a different order for you. I don't know. So the last one is financial freedom because you want to take money off the table. And I don't ever want to have to worry about that part of it. I want to be able to do what I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, as many times as I want. Right. So that's the key thing. On my whiteboard in my office for many years across the top, I had wrote live for 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday. And for a lot of years, that just didn't happen. So it was just like everything was a Monday. I was just constantly putting out fires all the time. So guys, I'm excited for you, what you got in front of you. It's up to you and what you want to do with it. And it comes down to your choice at that point. So Marilyn, I'm going to throw this back on your plate, and thanks for having me on tonight.
Thanks, Everett. So you can kind of see why he is where he's at. He's quite the businessman, and integrity. I'll take that all day long. When you have great work ethics and you're coachable, anybody can do this. So thank you for joining us tonight. We'll have the same call next week, same Zoom number. So we will be putting this up on our Zoom channel. Our YouTube channel. And it's just Marilyn Johnson Life Vantage. And you'll be able to share these presentations for free and just, share it with the people you care about. So thanks again. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you soon. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.